If you're really dedicated to ending your procrastination cycle, this video is for you. So I myself have been the biggest procrastinator ever, so I am not here to gaslight you and try and convince you that you're just lazy or that it's not a real problem, because it is a real problem and it sucks. But to fix it, you have to be dedicated to the process. You have to understand that it's the hardest when you're first trying to get out of that cycle. Procrastination seems like this huge clump of just the hardest to break patterns and cycles ever, because it itself is a bad habit. But the thing is that it's more wired into your brain, so it's harder to get around, but you can still do it. And it might be easier than you think. But you have to take accountability to the fact that obviously you are a procrastinator, and realize that it's your choice to make this change, to get out of this. It is fully your responsibility to do so. Nobody can make this change for you. You're the only person who can fix this for yourself. You are not a victim to your own mind unless you allow yourself to be. You're letting this pattern of procrastination take over your mind, and it's like playing devil's advocate. Like, you're always like, yeah, you know what, you're right, I'll just do that later. Or I don't really feel like doing that right now, maybe at some other point. Breaking that cycle of thinking is the most important part. Now, where to start? Obviously, this can seem extremely daunting, because when you look at how much procrastination has built up and you're ready to make that change, it's usually built up pretty big to like a point where you're like, oh my god, like I can't keep doing this. And that's why you're here in this video. So if it's hard for you to do too much stuff at once, then just start small. Just do something. Just pick something. Say your room is a mess. Just pick up like 3 things every time you go into the room, or 3 things once a day. And sometimes that can lead to more motivation to continue and say, you know what, I can do these things too. I can do these things as well. But also, because I know I did this, and I'm going to use dishes for example. When I would have dishes piling up that I needed to do, I would get overwhelmed by it, but I would be like, okay, well maybe I can just start with a few. And I would start cleaning a few dishes. And then I would clean them all, because I wouldn't want to just leave them there, so I would just clean them all. And every time I was breaking that promise to myself that I was only going to clean a few, I never wanted to do it, because then I'm like, but I know if I do it, if I start, even if I do say that I'm only going to do a few, I'm going to end up doing them all. So keep the promise to yourself. If you tell yourself something, do what you say you're going to do. Because this is also something that you have to rebuild the trust with yourself. Because when we procrastinate, we're always saying that we're going to do things that we don't end up doing. So this is something that you have to rebuild trust with yourself, because your mind doesn't trust what you say anymore. And as you rebuild this trust, you'll see how much easier it is to keep in the flow of doing stuff when you say you're going to do it. Rebuilding that trust really does help, and you'll see as you go. This is the most important one. Never say, I'll do it later. That is the worst thing you can say, because you know that is just going to be adding to the pile of things that you have to do. And when you're adding to this pile in your mind, I bet that you're pretty damn stressed all the time, aren't you? Because you just have this pile of things that you have to do sitting in the back of your brain. And even if you're just relaxing, it's still there. And you're still thinking about it. Even if you're trying to just have a nice day and relax and enjoy your time to yourself, it's still there. And you're still stressed about it. And if you get stressed easily, it builds up quicker. Say you have a glass of water, and the water represents your anxiety or stress level, and it's already filled to here because you already have that stuff that you've been putting off. And then so when you pour more water in, something else stressful comes along, you're going to get a lot more overwhelmed way faster, because this stuff has just been sitting there in your mind taking up space. So what I want you to do is, every time you think, I'll do that later, just do it right now. And it actually feels a lot better when you start doing it right now, even if you really don't want to, even if you just got home after a long day and you see something that you really needed to get done, and it would help your future self, but you just really don't want to do it right now and you say, I'll do it later. Just do it now. Even if you don't want to, you're going to feel a lot better later. And that's another thing. Think about your future self. Think about helping your future self out. Think about every time you say that, every time you say that you'll put it off, Think about how happy your future self would be that you already did it then when you said that you should do it, but decided to put it off. Think about how happy they would be that you did actually decide to do it rather than putting it off and saving it for them. And then start actually like thanking yourself when you do it. Say, thanks past me. That was really helpful. I'm glad you did that because now I don't have to do it now. Literally start thanking yourself because it makes it more rewarding. We're doing this work for ourselves, and most of the time we never reward ourselves. We never thank ourselves. So start thanking yourself like somebody else would thank you for helping them. Start thanking yourself. You deserve the same level of praise even if it's you that's doing it. You're not any less deserving of praise from yourself. Another one, start praising yourself for everything you're doing like you're a kid. At the end of every task and then at the end of every day, go through everything that you did in your mind and say, good job, out loud. Say, good job, I'm so proud of you for doing that today. Maybe give yourself a little pat on the back. I don't care how stupid it sounds, it works. All of that stuff works and it adds up. So as I was saying with the pile of stuff that's building up in your brain, we're going to circle back to this one. When you're procrastinating, that pile is always there. It always seems like there's always more to do because there is, and it's always stressful to think about. But when you're not procrastinating, that pile never forms to begin with. So what I sometimes need to remind myself is when I get these things that I've been procrastinating on done, and then I stay consistent with the things that I need to do and just do them when I say I will, that pile never forms. And of course, maybe a few things gathering because you're like, oh yeah, I need to do this at the end of the day, I need to do this or that. But the pile doesn't get as big as it would have back when you were putting everything off. And you know, and you have that trust in yourself that you'll get it done. And you're no longer a procrastinator anymore because you are doing everything that you say you're gonna do. So just remember that it's not this unbeatable thing. And that mountain of stuff that we have to do often looks a lot taller than it actually is. And then once you really start getting that stuff done, you're like, wow, I really could have just done this. But anyway, another idea is if you have like a lot of clutter, a lot of stuff you don't need, that also holds energy in your space, and clutter can raise your anxiety levels, raise your stress levels, and it can be harder because there's more stuff that you have to clean up. If you can just throw some of that stuff away, donate it, sell it, whatever, start letting go of some of that stuff if you find that you hold on to a lot of clutter, because it can really help in the long run because there's less stuff around you to have to deal with, to have to think about, to have to clean up. So if that's something that resonates with you, think about doing that, because when you have a bunch of clutter, walking into the room with all the clutter, that anxiety level is going straight up. But seriously though, when you keep up with everything, it is so much more easy to manage. So you have to just keep doing it as you go. Because when you leave a pile of things on the counter or a huge list of things to do, you just let it build up because it's your habit. But like, you don't understand until you do it, until you get that huge pile of things done and then start doing it as you go, how relieving it is. Like, it has not gotten old for me whenever I started just doing things as I go. It does take time to learn, and that's okay. So give yourself a break. But don't give yourself a break on the things that you have to do. I'm kidding. Do give yourself a break on the things you have to do. If you're having a day where you are able to get a bunch of things done, don't keep going and overwhelm yourself. Stop at a point where you feel good, like you did a good job. Say, okay, now the next stuff I will save for the next day, not because I'm putting it off because I don't want to do it now, because I've already done a good amount of stuff and I'm proud of myself for doing what I have done. No, you don't have to do everything in one day all at the start. Every little bit that you do adds up. So just remember that. And you will get to the point where you no longer have that pile of stuff anymore. Then remind yourself of the results and ask yourself, would the best version of me be a procrastinator? Would the best version of me put this off? Would the best version of me even be considering not doing this right now, or would they just get it done? And then with the results, if there's something nice you're looking to start, like you're looking to maybe start a business, start going to the gym, whatever it is. If it's not just regular mundane stuff like putting off phone calls and putting off cleaning your house and putting off any of that, think about the end result. I mean, also think about the end result with your other stuff too, like having the house be clean or not having to make those phone calls anymore because you already made them and it's all set up. You don't have to think about it anymore. But with the good things, there can be more psychological stuff going on there, like it could be fear of change and all of that jazz. We talk about that more on my channel in other videos. But if it's something like that, think about the good parts of it and how, yes, it seems like a long process. It seems like there's a lot to do, but it's going to be fun in the end. It's going to have a good result, and learn to enjoy the process too. Don't forget to enjoy the process and find a way to make doing these things fun. And if it's not fun, what you have to do, like you hate making phone calls and you have to make a bunch of phone calls, give yourself a reward. You do deserve them. We don't give ourselves enough credit when we do these things because they feel like things that obviously we had to do anyway. And we're like, well, why would I praise myself for something that I was supposed to do anyway? Do it anyway. Because you're gonna want to do more things when you have incentive as well. But then your incentive will just end up being at some point that you don't have to do it anymore. But you're still allowed to give yourself a reward here and there when you do something that was difficult for you. So, it is your responsibility to make the change. Procrastination can be freaking difficult and really annoying, and it can really suck you into that cycle pretty easily, but you let it get to that point more. Your brain is not holding you hostage. You can fight back and say, you know what, even though I really, really don't want to do this right now, I'm gonna do it anyway because I know it's gonna feel better in the end to have it done. You need to remind yourself of the end result in everything, but it's up to you to decide to make this change. And you can start at any point. It's never too late. So that's all I have for you today. I hope this video was helpful. This is something that has been a huge problem for me like most of my life, and being able to learn how to start working through this has been something that has been incredibly helpful. And I hope this video can help you as much as learning these things for myself helped me. Let me know if this was helpful in the comments, if you have any other tips for people who might be struggling with the same thing, anything that worked for you that I might not have mentioned. Any other video suggestions you have, please let me know in the comments. And if you like all things like self-improvement like this, mindset shift, self-love, all that, don't forget to subscribe to my channel because I talk about all of that stuff here. I would love to have you as a part of my community. Don't forget to give this video a like too if you liked it. That really helps me out and the algorithm, and I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great day.